Today we're having a little change from our long form videos. On Saturday we do history and on Monday we do museums. But since the Saga Farman, a reconstructed Viking boat, was in London, I just so happened to be downtown visiting the Globe Theatre, where I saw an excellent performance of Twelfth Night, and thought we'd hop along and see the Saga Farman. Very interesting. One of my friends told me that it's all electronics under the skin and it's not really a proper Viking boat. So we came down to give it a look, and we didn't go on board. It's going to be a short video. You can see it was moored at the weekend in St. Catherine's Dock. Did see it when I went to Tate Modern, which, if you're around next Monday, we're going to be visiting Tate Modern. So we started off here, quite a medium-sized boat by modern standard, but you get a feeling for the shape and the structure, and really looks like a Viking boat to me. There is electronics. I think it was a bit of an unfair review I got. It's a bit like if you built a horse and cart today, you'd probably still put some GPS in it so you can find where you're going. So there is some electronics hidden into the woodwork and underneath the covers, but primarily safety. And you can see here it's a one-masted boat. You can make out the series of ropes going up to the top of the mast. And actually, when we get closer, you can see the barrel that was used to raise and lower the mast. And it was quite fascinating to see how this simple but very sturdy structure was built to control the height and pitch and angle of the mast. And that's probably the most impressive thing I saw. I know one of the people there was saying, well, where's the Viking boat front? Where's the prow with a dragon or such similar? And I think the Viking Boat Museum in Norway does have one with a much more elaborate prow. But this, I think, captures what a more average Viking boat looked like. And it's quite fascinating. It's an opportunity to get up close and personal with a boat that was sailing, well, over 1,000 years ago. Yes, it wasn't this one, but it gives you a feeling for how the Normans were able to navigate the whole of Northern Europe, the Mediterranean, cross the Atlantic to America, sail down the rivers of Europe to found cities like Kiev and even Moscow. A striking people. And yes, I do see a life preserver there, but give me a break. It's a beautiful ship, great reconstruction, and fascinating to see all the rigging. It's simple enough that standing on the shoreline here, you can make out where the cables run and you can understand what they were actually used for. I must say, when I see a more modern ship, I'm a little bit at a loss as to how the myriad of complicated rigging ropes actually control the ship. And there were some oars. What surprised me with the oars was how small the blade was. The blade's the portion of the oar that actually drives you forward, that you put in the water, and as you stroke the oar, that's the portion that creates the forward movement. And it was quite small, I think, compared to the width of the shaft and even where the grip is. The blade itself wasn't that large. The length was like a sweep oar today as opposed to a sculling oar that you might see at the Olympics, but not a very large blade. And we're going to return to that furling drum in a moment. See the sticks sticking up the poles, but at the back is a pillar, a very basic structure, almost looks like a scythe laid sideways, but allows you to not just drop and raise the tiller, but actually turn it into the water to create the motion of the ship. And there's an example where the captain stands. You can see where there's some technology which is a little bit more hidden away. Quite tastefully done, I think. And they were doing an interview when I was here, which is probably on YouTube as well. Behind them, you can see the drum. That's the drum, which you take those two poles, stick it in, and you can rotate the drum. By rotating the drum, it tightens the ropes around the furling drum, which therefore raises the actual sail and lets you trim the sail and position it to the right amount of canvas. And also ropes at the side let you turn it so you can turn with the wind. Very fascinating. So as promised, a very quick trip to a modern day Viking boat. And since we're in St. Catherine's Dock, just give you a little feel for what you can see here, because as well as the boats of the rich and famous and not so famous, St. Catherine's Dock is also a good place to come. If you're at the Tower of London, there's a lovely pub at the back, the Dickens, which is great on a summer's night. And there's also Gloriana, the royal barge that was used for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. If you remember the water parade through central London, I certainly went and saw it. The Gloriana royal barge here is beautiful, and you can get pretty close to it. There are also a series of Dunkirk little ships that are sometimes here, and some fascinating Thames boats. These Thames barges dating back about 150 years. Very beautiful ships to see. And you sometimes, when you see pictures of the Thames, will see these, because these were somewhat of a feature. Maybe here you can see what I mean, that the rigging is substantially more complicated and harder for someone without sea legs to decipher. But I hope you enjoyed our brief visit to the Saga Farman, and just leave you with a picture of the ship when it was in the middle of the Thames a few days earlier. Please do like and subscribe, it really helps. And come back on Saturday for another Unbound History, and Monday for a museum tour. And it's going to be very close to this Viking boat, but not at all related.